Dandavat pranam.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Dear Dandavat pranam.
Dear Vaishnavas. Now you can tell why we're late. We're doing Dear Dandavat Pranam. It's like Dandavat Parikrama. All over Vrindavan.
Jai Ho.
Jai. Hold on. You know, my tilak had all but diminished.
He had to run and put more tilak on. This is priorities. So he's showing up a little late because tilak.
It's the gopi's foot dust.
Yeah, we can't be without this.
It's so, look at Thakurji. Radhe Radhe. It's so sought after that Krishna himself was seeking after that transcendental substance. Please forgive us again. We're not doing well with our timing.
We're on time.
5 o'clock is our perfect timing. And when we start delaying 2 minutes, pretty soon it's going to be
No, it won't.
what we call India time.
No, it won't happen.
No?
No.
Okay. So, now I have
Welcome.
fresh tilak on. This is extremely important for us.
Kishori, where are we?
We are in Radha Vinobihari Mandir. In the place with the name which resembles the first transcendental sound. Aksharanam Akarosmi.
Welcome, dear Vaishnavas.
In Sri Vrindavan Dham.
Jai Ho.
There. There's only a few devotees there so far, so Jai. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Nah, I'll be okay. And a quick advertisement before we begin for Yogi Kārtika, free advertising for this company. Small, little black pills. Keep your voice going for hours. See, Janardhan, you jinxed us. Sorry about that. I was here. I just realized in the last moment that my tilak was pretty much gone. And according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, if you are not wearing tilak, then any activity you do in bhakti will be rendered. What's the word, Sudevi?
You won't get the merit.
You won't get the full merit of your activity. Also, even Prahlad Mahārāja says to his father that without bathing in the dust of the pure devotees, one cannot understand transcendental subject matters. So this is definitely the dust of the pure devotees, namely the gopis, including Srimati Radhika. It is the dust of their feet. And also, what is that one? Rahuganaitat tapasana jati. In that conversation in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, there it's also saying Bina mahatpada rajobhishekam. Without taking abhishek in the dust of the feet of the great personalities, one cannot understand transcendental subject matters. What to speak of, speak on it. So, tilak first, then everything else can be auspicious. So we are starting with Mangalacharan, page 1 of our Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. So Devi, can you bring one of those other small pillow cushions from the floor? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Sahitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambikamshcha Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audarya Madhurya Gunaischa Yuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Pāṅśidasham Namah Trikandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padam Jagataika Hritti Chaitanya Lila Tasarasaram Nārāyaṇam Satatam Prabhate Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Yati Namine Ati Martya Charitraya Sashyatananshapaline Jiva Dute Sadarataya Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabhave Krishna Sambandha Vidyāna Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjvala Premadhyam Shri Rupanugavaknida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanugam Nirudhapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namah Namo Bhaktivedānta Satchidanandamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugam Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestham Nirdeshta Sajana Priyam Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannāthāya Te Namah Vanchā kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Namo Mahāvadanyāya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnāya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratrishe Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhānusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Suratopam Mama Mandamatirgati Matsarvasvapagam Mochara दिव्यद्वृन्दानन्द्यकल्पद्रुमादं श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थं श्री श्रीराधा श्रीरघुनन्ददेवी प्रेष्ठानिधि सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भे वंशिवत्ततस्थितः कर्षन्मे स्वनर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथश्रीकेष्टः वृन्दायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिदम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्त चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् हरेर्नाम हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामेव केवलं कलो नास्त्येव 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 गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Dandava Pranama Vaishnavas. Gurudev Kripa Karke, page 360, 360 in our bhajan treasure trove. Gurudev Kripa Karke. That one is specifically calling out to our Gurudev for mercy, but it can be applied to any transcendental Gurudev.
No, it's to install something.
You should install it. I'll do it later today.
It only gives me the time to do it now, so that's kind of weird.
No, I'll do it later.
Eho.
Please remind us to install the software so we don't keep getting this difficulty. Sorry. I know I froze in a certain position. So, we can remember Javidharma chapter 1. That although we are meant to flow freely like water toward the ocean, due to being subjected to the material energy since time without beginning, which is devoid of the mood of service to Krishna, our natural flowing nature has become frozen. And we begin to think that this is reality. That is called abhiniveshata or maya, that which is not true or real. So, even being frozen on Facebook Live can remind us of the teachings of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko Apna Lena. Gurudev Kripa Karke Mujhko Apna Lena. Me sharan para में शरण परा तेरी, चरणों में जगा देना, चरणों में जगा देना, चरणों में जगा देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। करुणा निधि नाम तेरा, करुणा बरसाओ तू, करुणा निधि नाम तेरा, करुणा बरसाओ तू। सोए हुए भाग्यों को हे नाथ जगाओ तू, सोए हुए भाग्यों को हे नाथ जगाओ तू, हे नाथ जगाओ तू, हे नाथ जगाओ तू। मेरी नाव भावर डोले, उसे पार लगा देना, मेरी नाव भावर डोले, उसे पार लगा देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। तुम सुख के सागर हो, भक्ति के सहारे हो, तुम सुख के सागर हो, भक्ति के सहारे हो। तो मेरे मन में समाये हो, मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो, मेरे मन में समाये हो, मुझे प्राणों से प्यारे हो। नित्यमाला जपूं तेरी, मेरे दोष भुला देना, नित्यमाला जपूं तेरी, मेरे दोष भुला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। मैं संतों का सेवक हूँ, इस जग में अकेला हूँ, नहीं नाथ भुलाना मुझे। इस जग में अकेला हूँ, इस जग में अकेला हूँ, इस जग में अकेला हूँ। तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हूँ, नहीं दिल से भूला देना। तेरे द्वार का भिखारी हूँ, नहीं दिल से भूला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव जय, गुरुदेव जय, गुरुदेव जय, गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय, गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय, गुरुदेव। प्रभुपादो जय, प्रभुपादो जय, प्रभुपादो जय, प्रभुपादो, प्रभुपादो जय, प्रभुपादो, प्रभुपादो जय, प्रभुपादो। गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा, गुरु परंपरा। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, रूपानुग गुरुवर्ग की जय, श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय। Someone wants to know what? Yes, excuse me. I'm experiencing a little bit of allergy. 1 second. I was in the dust today. It was a very dusty, windy day. So I've been requested to tell that history. Katha is not just a story, it is a history of something that has happened, something that is happening, or that will happen, but it is still a reality. So many years before, we were in England, and our Srila Gurudev came there as well. And we were in a town called Bath, otherwise known as Bath, but it is the town of Bath. And we were staying, or Gurudev was staying at the home of Yashodanandan Prabhu. So we went with a desire to see our Srila Gurudev. With all of our instruments, there was a few of us, maybe 5 or 6. And we came to the door and Braj Mandal Prabhu answered. And he said, "Oh, no Harikatha today. Gurudev is in a big meeting. There will be no darshan today." And Sudevi said, "Can we just come in and do kirtan downstairs? Just do bhajans in the living room?" He said, "Sure, that'll be fine, but there's no darshan today." We said, "Okay." And then he went back upstairs to his big meetings. Sudevi looked at all of us and she said, because we were going to start with Gurudev Kripa Karke, she said, "Let's sing so loud that Srila Gurudev will have to come down." So instead of looking at a picture or looking at the altar, or looking at a picture in our book, we were all looking up toward the ceiling and chanting it very, very loudly. I can't even sing it with this tampura on. Gurudev kripa karke. Halfway through the bhajan, we saw the most amazingly beautiful scene. Normally, Srila Gurudev, he was in his 80s at the time, would either hold on to the shoulder of Brajanath Prabhu or Pujapad Madam Maharaj when he was going up or downstairs or even walking. This time, he was coming downstairs by himself, holding on to the railing with two hands, looking at us and coming down one step at a time. You could see his eagerness to come down and be with us. He was coming one step at a time, holding on to the railing with both hands. And he came and we were so excited and we continued singing the bhajan. He sat with us, he sat in front of us. And then we finished our bhajan. And Srila Gurudev asked one devotee. That devotee couldn't remember Sanskrit or Hindi very well. And even if they could, it was a little difficult. For many years they sang Shri Guru Charana Padma, but it still came out of Shri Guru Charuna Padma, Charuna. And so it was quite difficult. So she had asked me, can you make an English rendition of Gurudev Kripa Karake? So I had done that only a few weeks earlier. Gurudev, be merciful to me. Gurudev, please accept me as your own. I have taken shelter of you. Please give me a place at your lotus feet. Give me a place at your lotus feet. Like that. Only you can save me now. I was drowning in an ocean, tossed and turned about. No hope for any rescue, no strength to scream, swim or shout. Being ripped apart by creatures, while bound up with a rope. Left for dead I was praying for any sign of hope. At this time, just like a dream, you came on sailing by. Glowing bright with warm affection, I began to cry and cry. After so long I'd be saved from this dreadful frightening place. I can't remember. By the vision of your grace, Gurudev, be merciful to me. Gurudev, please accept me as your own. So she had been listening to that for a few weeks. Gurudev said, do you know the meaning? Can you tell the meaning? She closed her songbook and she said, Guru, she was just looking at him. Gurudev, please be merciful to me. Gurudev, please accept me as your own. I have taken shelter of you. Just give me a place at your lotus feet. And Gurudev was like, wow, like this. And she was so happy and he was so impressed. It was very sweet. And then he spoke with us for some time. He was telling actually how to sing the bhajan. He was saying that ladies should sing in their gender. So for men, we were saying, is jagame akela hoon. For ladies, is jagame akeli hoon. For the men, charano ka dasa hoon. For the ladies, charano ki dasi hoon, etc., etc. He wanted everyone to sing in their own genders. And we were concerned, won't it sound funny if the men and the women are singing different sounding words at the same time? He said no harm. So he was teaching us like that. He wanted us to apply it to ourselves and sing it from our own hearts. And he spoke for some time, and then Brajanath Prabhu came down with his microphone and was trying to put it on Gurudev. And Gurudev said, nothing is happening here. Go back to your big, big meeting. And we were so excited. Yay, Gurudev is staying with us. You told him to go back to your big, big meeting. And so after some time, Srila Gurudev got up to leave. He said, I have to go back now. And Sudevi said to Gurudev, Gurudev, thank you so much for coming down. And Gurudev said, oh, I had to. You called me. So from that point, we realized that this bhajan, mixed with a desperate calling for Gurudev, has a particular power of attraction. It was actually written for him. And whether or not he comes down the stairs physically or manifests in our heart and gives us some kind of darshan and communicates with us, either way, if we are sincere and we cry out in a way from our own hearts, He will hear that prayer and He can manifest Himself. And He said, I had to, you called me. When I was singing it, there was one line that stood out to me. Here we're saying, Mere man mein samaye ho, mujhe prano se pyare ho. You are always on my mind. You are more dear to me than my own life, than life itself. And Gurudev has also confirmed that himself. He told this to Shyam Sundar Prabhu in Wales, who was saying, I feel so far from you, I feel so distant. And Gurudev said to him, I am closer to you than the air you breathe. That is the definition of Atma Bandhu. The Atma doesn't need water. The Atma doesn't need cooked food. The Atma does not need air. The Atma needs love. The Atma needs affection. It is made of Sat Chit Ananda and it lives on that from a transcendental personality. So he said, I am closer to you than the air you breathe. Gurudev has said that without food you can live for a week, without water maybe a few days, without air a few minutes, without love you would die in a moment. If you are not getting love from someone else, you will get it from your pets. And if you're not getting it from your pets, you will get it from yourself. Somehow you have to seek love. The soul requires that. Not any mundane love. Really, that is not going to satisfy us. But he said, without love, you cannot survive for a moment. So, in this case, here we are saying, Mujhe prano se pyare ho. You are dearer to me than my own life itself. Maybe when we're saying it, it's not the truth, but at least it's a positive affirmation. But the fact is, it is the truth from his side, because he understands what I'm giving you, you cannot repay me in millions of lifetimes. We might not realize it or understand it yet, but one day, by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas, when we mature, when we grow up, we will realize something of that I have no way to repay you. I am forever indebted, hopelessly indebted forever for your mercy. So this bhajan for us has a very, very strong connection to our Srila Gurudev. Gurudev has also said, Krishna is love and love is Krishna. Without love, without Krishna, we would cease to exist. We would die in a moment. So the soul requires that. Now we're going to call for the mercy of the Vaishnavas. We recently found that recording again of that song that we made. And when Sudevi and I put it on, because we had made it at that time really remembering Gurudev and thinking about him, when we put it on, we both started crying because it had such a connection to us, the English rendition. It's a bit cheesy with its rock music background, but the mood that we did it with was very simple. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore by Radha Mohan Das, page 46. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore Dante Trino Dhori Kohe Edino Pamore Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Goya Koromore Dante Trino Dhori edino pamare. Shri Guru Charano ya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Guru Charano ya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pada Padma Paya More Koro Dhanya Pada Padma Paya More Koro Dhanya Toma Sabar Karuna Bine Iha Prapti Na Toma Sabar Karuna Bine Iha Prapti Na Visheshe Ajogya Muni Kohilo Nesha Visheshe Ajogya Muni Kohilo Nesha Vancha Kalpataruha Karuna Sagara Vancha Kalpataruha Karuna Sagara Eto Bharasa Eto bharasa muni dhoriye antaro gunalesha nahi moro aparadhe sima gunalesha nahi aparadher sima amayudhari aloke dekhao mahima amayudhari aloke dekhao Nam Sankirtana Ruchi Ar Premodhana Nam Sankirtana Ruchi Ar Premodhana Te Radha Karuna Te Radha Mohane Deho Hoya Sakaruna Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Doya Koro More Dante Trino Dhori Pohe Dino Pamare Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Doya Koro More Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro Prabhu Kripa Koro More Doya Koro. All Vaishnava Thakurs ki Jai. We told you this before, but we will tell it again. Every evening around 7 o'clock, just between Gopinath Bhavan, no, a little past Sringarbhat, between Sringarbhat and Chirghat, the one in which is between Sringarbhat and Keshighat, there's a little temple there, just across the Parikrama Marg from Jamuna. Every evening at 7, they do an arti with fire, incense, all of the paraphernalia, and they begin chanting and playing the gongs. About 10 dogs come running from all directions. They sit down in front of that mandir and at the same time begin howling. At the same time as the arti, every evening, without fail. Ow! Like that. So, you never know who's who or what's what around. Our Srila Prabhu... Here at 11 at night, everyone sings for about half an hour. All the dogs. All the local dogs around. But Srila Prabhupada made some comment once. And believe it or not, this was about those who are claiming to follow Srila Rupa Gosvāmī, means Rupanuga, but they're doing all kinds of nonsense activities. So maybe they are in Vrindavan and they're doing nonsense activities. Then, because they're chanting Hare Krishna and they're still trying to have some kind of faith in Rupa Gosvāmī and the teachings of Mahaprabhu, but they are deviant, then he said that Krishna places them in the forms of the animals of Braj. And just in case you didn't know, the animals in Braj have a little bit of a tough time. But there's a reason for it. They get the mercy of the Brajbasis, and that brings them in line, and then again they can take birth and be first-class practitioners of the path of Rupanuga Bhakti. So somehow it becomes a blessing. Unlike other places, you know, when you go to the zoo, when you're walking through the zoo, all the animals are behind bars, and therefore you feel safe walking through the zoo. When you're walking through Vrindavan, the humans are behind bars generally, but when you're walking down the streets, it's public territory. You've got dogs, you've got cows, you've got pigs, you've got monkeys, and all sorts of other animals, sometimes donkeys and goats and what have you. And it kind of becomes survival of the fittest out there. The monkeys know that ladies are a little bit easier to tease. And so if ladies are walking alone, usually they'll wait until any other person or any man is walking down, and then, like today I was walking and the kids were going ba 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 ba, and I didn't even realize it, but they came and they just started walking next to me because all these big monkeys were everywhere. So they will tease the kids, the little girls and the ladies more than the men. And people have learned, you either carry a stick or you carry a rock or you pretend to throw the rock. If you need to, you swoop down very quickly and make the motion of picking up a rock, and that scares them. But why does it scare them? Because the Brajabasis have actually utilized it. But it keeps some kind of a balance, otherwise it could become a very dangerous place. So everything has its place. Some people would think, oh, this is really, really terrible. It shouldn't be like that. But if we were just in nature, then we would be in the, like Sahara in Africa, we would be also a target as food. So somehow you need to keep a balance in Vrindavan. It's the way it is, but this is also part of the divine arrangement for those who are committing simple activities within the Dham to receive their just dues, to teach them some kind of humility, and then next time they might come back even as a tree. All of the trees, Gurudev said, the trees in Vrindavan, they are witnessing Krishna's pastimes. Why have they taken birth as trees, these sages? so that they don't have to be disturbed by anyone, they don't have to speak to anyone, they can just do their bhajan. And who has come as trees? We know that when Raghunath Das Goswami was excavating Radha Kund and Shyama Kund, when he began to excavate Shyama Kund, the 5 Pandavas came to him in his vision and told him in his dream, please don't cut us down. We are here in the forms of trees doing bhajan to attain the shelter, the mercy of Krishna. So please don't cut us down. So if you see Shyama Kund, it's not in a nice square shape like Radha Kund. It's in a very Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham, very beautiful threefold shape like Krishna. But that was also because the Pandavas told him we are doing bhajan in the forms of trees. So Gurudev told us we should be very careful. Don't just break the branches. Don't rip the leaves off. We should honor. And you see, even when people are doing parikrama, if there's any tree right there, they always include that tree within their parikrama. He said also the birds are witnessing. I don't know if that includes pigeons. Does it include pigeons, Sudevi? What? He said the trees and the birds are witnessing Krishna's pastime. Did that include the pigeons?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it includes the pigeons. We'll see. I don't know. We'll have to... It's the parrots. There are parrots, cuckoos, peacocks. So, Srila Gurudev told us like that. Be very careful. Every particle of dust here in Vrindavan is surcharged with transcendence. Has more Aishwarya than all Vaikuntha planets combined in a single particle of dust. And today a lot of dust was blowing. So now I'm remembering another pastime. We arrived back from Parikrama one day, one very hot, long day, bus day. And somehow, because of the nature of the fine, fine dust, I think from millions of cows walking on it since thousands and thousands of years, it's become like, if you put some, let's say, roasted cumin seeds in your mortar and pestle grinder, and you just do that every single day for years and years, you will have a very fine, fine dust. So the cows have been walking on it for years and years, and when I came here first to Vrindavan in 1984, Parikrama Marg was like that. It was about 6 inches of the softest dust. You would put your foot down and it would just sink into the dust with a big poof like that. So soft and so fine. So this dust gets everywhere. When there's a lot of dust, like when we were driving on the buses, it didn't matter if you had your windows closed or open, it would just get in through whatever, and it was just coating everyone. Our hair was a mixture of sweat and dust, and it was like, and our faces were dusty. It was in our noses, in our eyes, in our eyelashes, everywhere. Dust, dust, dust. And after a very long, hot, dusty day, we arrived back at the mutt. With dust in our lungs, it was difficult to breathe. And Gurudev was waiting anxiously for an hour and a half for us to return. He wanted to tell us about the parikrama places we had gone, and we had come back late, which dismayed him a little bit because he was so excited to speak with us. So we all went into the temple, offered our pranam, and we were expecting Gurudev to tell us, okay, so you've had a wonderful parikrama today, you can go take a shower, wash your clothes, take rest, and be ready for tomorrow, which he would do periodically or frequently. This time wasn't like that. One devotee complained, Gurudev, there's too much dust. Well, Gurudev took that as an opportunity to glorify the dust. So instead of sending us home, he started adding more transcendental dust particles, saffron particles, to our already dusty condition via his Harikatha. And through that Harikatha, we began to become nourished. It began to wake us up. And for an hour and a half, he spoke so beautifully about all of the pastime places we went. And he was starting by glorifying the dust. He said, all the greatest personalities, from the 4 Kumaras to Brahma, to Udhav, to Narad, all the greatest personalities are praying for even one particle of this dust on their heads. How fortunate are you all that you're being bathed completely outside, not only outside, also completely inside, covered in this dust. So I think you are all the most fortunate people in the universe. And we were like, Jai Gurudev, like that. It was so inspirational that they're all praying for one particle of it, and we can't even help it. We are being saturated externally and internally with this dust. Sudevi, can you tell what Gurudev said about the dust?
I mean, it's really quick. You can do it.
I love it when you tell it.
He was saying that the dust, he said, why do we worship the dust in Vrindavan? Why do we put it on our eyes? Why do we put it in our mouth and our heads and roll in it? And he said, yes, because Krishna has walked here. Yes, because it is, so powerful. And he said, but really, he said, the reason is because when Krishna was playing his flute on a full moon night and was calling the gopis to come to him to save his life, Radhe, Radhe, without you I cannot live. At that time, all of the gopis in their homes, no matter what they were doing, if they were holding their children, if they were serving their husbands, if they were putting children to sleep, whatever it was, they forgot everything. Krishna needs me. Without me, he will die, he will die. Because Krishna was calling Srimati Radhika's name. Each gopi is like a personified mood of Srimati Radhika. So all were hearing their names being called. So immediately they started to run out into the middle of the night, running, giving up everything for Krishna. So Gurudev said when they were running, their feet were pounding in the dust, running toward Krishna. And at that time, that utkanta, that
eagerness,
like this desire to serve Krishna that was life or death for them, that eagerness entered into that dust and it remains there, kind of like a time capsule. And he said when we take that dust and we pray to it, we put it on our heads, we bow to it, we honor it, he said that this dust can engender that kind of greed within our own hearts. This is why the dust is so powerful and so precious, why we wear it on our heads every single day, because it can engender greed in our hearts to love and to serve Krishna.
Jai. Thank you. Beautiful. Utkantha, great eagerness. What is it? It's also that word is in the definition of Madhyam Adhikari. I'm trying to remember it. Samutkanta namagane sadaruchi. I can't remember at the moment. Later on I'll remember. So now we will call to the mercy of, for the mercy of Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Why did I tell that about the dust? Maybe someone wrote something, said something?
Something about making cows.
Ah, yes. So Gurudev was just telling us about the trees.
Did it stop?
No?
Mine just stopped.
No, it looks like it's still going there. Maybe the normal internet just stopped for a second.
Yeah, I want to.
Kshantirarvyatakalatvam viraktir manashunyata ashabandha samutkantha namagane sadaruchi. Thank you, Amarendra Das. I was going to share a quote that Amarendra Prabhu sent me today about Kirtan from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Actually, it wasn't about Kirtan, so to speak. It was about what is not Kirtan. And it was so powerful and so eye-opening and quite shocking in a way that pretty much only Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada could tell it. I wanted to share it with you, so it will, I guess now's as good time as any, isn't it? So, what he shared with me, and it's so important.
I'm just shutting this so mosquitoes don't come in.
This was first published in Sajjana Toshini in 1917 by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And it was interesting that I received this message yesterday, because just yesterday we were all discussing something about ragas. But what is real rag? No. Versus means the raga, or the attachment that the gopis and the Brajabasis have for Krishna, right? Raga Nuga Bhakti means those who are following under the guidance of the ragatmik, or the eternal associates of Krishna, who have spontaneous love and affection for Krishna. So, but we also can have raga for this material world. And so this is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was speaking about. Those who are obsessed with melody, that is called sur, with tempo, lai, and rhythm, tal, and tone, man, are deprived of a true taste for the holy name and will never attain the eligibility to sing songs about Krishna. Now this is a pretty heavy statement. Will never attain the eligibility if they're obsessed with the musical effects of it. The melody, the tempo, the rhythm, and the tone. Those who are bewildered and show no genuine enthusiasm towards the songs of Krishna cannot attain the right to sing. Those who are overwhelmed by ill motives and with the desire for pratishta display pride in kirtan also do not achieve the qualification to sing the holy name. Only those who are indifferent to matter, dedicated to transcendental service, and engaged in singing nam with a non-duplicitous mind have the eligibility to actually sing the holy name. So I have a long way to go. But it starts with this: those who are obsessed with all of the technical aspects. And actually this is one of the first instructions that my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, gave. He asked me, do you know the difference between kirtan and sangeet? And I said, no. And he said, sangeet is technical ability. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. And he said, kirtan is transcendental sound vibration descending from Goloka Vrindavan into your heart. After you receive Harinam, then your kirtan will become potent. In other words, real kirtan is not a factor of my doing something. Real kirtan is a factor of Krishna doing something. It is transcendental. It is descending. It is Krishna dancing on the tongue. That is real kirtan. And everything else can be considered either a semblance of it, a reflection of it, or a false version of it. You want to add something to that from Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj? Who is this from?
Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Maharaj. It's a little long, but it's everything that you're speaking of, even rag, everything is...
So Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Maharaj was glorifying Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And he said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada expressed a desire to hear a few special kirtans. To fulfill his request, his sevak brought a devotee who was well known for singing in a very melodious voice with perfect pitch and rhythm, whose voice he knew to be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada's ears. But upon seeing this kirtaniya, Prabhupada said, I do not wish to listen to a well-crafted, melodious kirtan, but rather one sung from the core of the heart, sung by one who fully comprehends the bhavs and most transcendental meanings of the kirtans he sings. He then ordered Śrīmad Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj and Śrī Naveen Krishna Vidyalankar to sing Śrī Rupa Manjari Pada. We mentioned this the other day. And Tuhu Doya Sagar, respectively. Through this pastime, Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established the importance of performing kirtan only after thoroughly understanding and realizing the deep meanings and underlying moods of our Acharya's kirtans, rather than being concerned merely with melody and rhythm.
It's really good.
These days, so much importance is put on the melody.
Or the mridanga.
The mridanga, the rhythm. I remember sometimes devotees would come into the temple and play the mridanga so amazingly fancily that everyone would stop chanting the holy names and would only be concentrating on this amazing mridanga. And I was thinking, that's not the point of the mridanga. The mridanga is to support the chanting of the holy names. It's not to take over. And it's definitely not to see by my kirtan how many ladies will swoon or how many men will swoon at my singing ability, or how well I can get everyone to dance by my singing, how beautiful people will think it is, how much glorification, how much money I can make, how many people will buy my CDs, buy my kirtan, how much name and fame and pratishta and money and sense gratification I can get by kirtan. This is not kirtan. This is abusing Krishna's name. And this was shunned by our Guru Varga. So, Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja is saying, however, one should not think that the devotee whose kirtan Prabhupada refused to hear was an ordinary person or interested simply in the melodiousness of kirtan. In fact, he was a topmost kirtaniya. So that means Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was just teaching a lesson. Earlier in Puri, Prabhupada had many times listened to his kirtan with great eagerness. Prabhupada stopped him from singing at that time for no other reason than to establish and teach one particular point of view. Srila Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur, is an eternal, perfect associate of Bhagavan, and he knows everything. Because he knows past, present, and future, he is referred to as Trikalagya, one who knows the three phases of time, or omniscient. He understood that the mindless, conditioned living beings of this world pay no mind to the gravity of the moods and deep meanings of kirtan, and instead, for the sake of earning worldly fame and recognition, become absorbed in meditating on melody, tune, and rhythm, thinking such things to be the essence of kirtan. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada used one of his dear associates to deliver this most significant teaching for the benefit of us foolish persons, or of foolish persons like us. Like the other day, I told you how Srila Gurudev utilized Pujapad Bhaktivedānta Madhav Maharaj to teach us a lesson. Although Madhav Maharaj knew and was completely aware of Gurudev's desire and position on the matter, still Srila Gurudev used him because we couldn't have handled it. So the lesson was taught through him.
He speaks a little bit about how it's not that we throw out.
Therefore, upon hearing that Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur once refused to hear a melodious kirtan, we should not conclude that the use of Vaishnava musical instruments in kirtan is inappropriate, or that devotees who sing in a sweet, melodious voice are to be discouraged from doing kirtan. The actual message is that real kirtan is performed after one properly understands the underlying moods and deep meanings of that kirtan. However, the aesthetic features of kirtan, such as melody, rhythm, vocal expression, should not be entirely dismissed, but rather seen as being favorable for bhakti, if they are being utilized to serve the kirtan, instead of using the kirtan to serve themselves.
Because even Nārāyaṇa Thakur is praying, I don't know if it's in this lecture, but he's saying, when will Lalita or Vishaka Sati teach me kirtan? When will, they want to be engaged in learning these kirtans, even in that transcendental realm.
I don't know if they can hear you.
It doesn't matter.
So Sudevi is saying that even Narottam Das Thakur is praying, when will Lalita Sakhi teach me? Vishaka Sakhi Sangita, Shikibo or Loibo. Yes, I can't remember at the moment. But he's praying, when will I learn this kirtan? But that is not any material kirtan, it is transcendental kirtan. And kirtan is really, yes.
I just thought it was really...
Thank you. So, coming back to the point, many, many years before, we were in Mathura with our Srila Gurudev, 1998, and that time one brahmachari was leading kirtan while playing harmonium, and Srila Gurudev came into the assembly, and immediately he said, into the mic, a brahmachari should never use a musical instrument. He will only be thinking, how beautiful is my singing, and how many ladies will appreciate my kirtan. And by this he will be finished. So he told that brahmachari, you give him the harmonium. And he pointed at me, and I was thinking, I don't want that. I don't want that harmonium, because Gurudev was like, a brahmachari should never use a musical instrument. And he said, give it to him. So he put it in front of me, and I was like, oh no. And then Gurudev looked at Nemi Maharaj. That time he wasn't Nemi Maharaj, he was still Jnanadas Prabhu. Gurudev asked him, where's your violin? And he said, it's in Delhi being repaired. And he said, you should arrange for one immediately. A man should never be without his instrument. And I was thinking, very interesting. Here we have two apparently contradictory instructions. He's telling this one, don't use a musical instrument. This will negatively affect you. And for the others, he's ordering, use the musical instrument. So that is also a symptom of the all-knowing or omniscientness of Guru. Guru can see and know, okay, you're using this for what purpose? And you're using this for what purpose? Now I'm ordering you to use this. So if you follow my order, then you will be doing it as seva. Like one of the first orders he gave me in 1996. You should always sit in front of me with any, so that I can use you for kirtan whenever I like. So that I can use you for kirtan whenever I like. Sudevi, bell. So this is quite an important teaching from our Gurudev. Our Gurudev is saying to the one, don't do this because it's unfavorable for you. And to the others, to us, he was giving an order. Who's here? Pure Cow Seva Ki Jai. We're just talking about kirtan. Can you turn on the fan? It is getting a little hot. Dandavat pranam, dandavat. Everyone's excited because they heard ding dong. Tumachandan, hamapani. So, Srila Gurudev gave many instructions on kirtan. Our Param Gurudev gave many instructions on kirtan. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj gave many instructions on kirtan. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. What is real kirtan versus the other stuff? And we can honestly look at ourselves and say, you know, it might not be real kirtan what we do. Perhaps what we're doing is some kind of semblance. But if we're doing what we are doing under the order and guidance of Gurudev, like I asked him, what benefit will others get by hearing my kirtan, my chanting of Krishna's names, my discussion about Krishna? My heart is full of all kinds of inebrities, lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and pride. So what benefit will others get? And Gurudev said, oh, some Shakti will be there because you are under guidance. This is an important instruction. If you are under guidance, then Guru can work through you. But if you are doing anything independently, then it cannot be considered bhakti even. And if you're doing it under guidance, maybe you don't have so much devotion, but because you are following the order of Gurudev. No. That'll blow your phone up. Here. That one's for the Hare Krishna. If you are under guidance, then because being under guidance, if you're following the order of Guru, then he will give you the benefit of bhakti. Now, this is the most essential teaching, to follow the order, the instruction of the spiritual master. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there it is said, the order of the spiritual master is the life and soul of the disciple. Sorry about that. They're catching it and re-quoting it. So, oh, we have a mridanga player, so I can play harmonium. And we have a kartali wali. Hey. Yeah, sure. Because all the devotees are like, what's going on? What's going on? All we heard was ding dong, but they didn't get to see everything else. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Pure Cow Seva Ki Jai. Sudevi Anup Ki Jai. Remember, of all of the aspects of bhakti,
Oh, it's just not close enough.
the
Sorry.
one that makes bhakti bhakti more than anything else is anugatya, to be under guidance. Because even if you're going directly for Krishna, Krishna himself says, if you try to come directly to me, it won't work. Ado Guru Parashray. First of all, surrender to Gurudev. Otherwise, it will be nishphal, fruitless. So, the most essential ingredient of the process of bhakti is anugatya, sadhu sangha, to be under guidance. And from that, everything else will manifest. I specifically remember our Srila Gurudev telling about the 5 processes which Mahaprabhu gave us. Sadhu sangha nam kirtan bhagavat shravan, maturavas shrimurtir shraddhaya sevan. These 5. Sadhu sangha means association with pure devotees. Nam kirtan means chanting the holy names of the Lord. Bhagavat shravan means hearing the glories of the Lord from the mouth of the Mahabhagavat Vaishnavas, or hearing Śrīmad Bhagavatam from them. Maturavas means residing within Mathura Mandal, Sri Vrindavan Dham, or at the feet of the pure devotee, because they carry Vrindavan within their heart, wherever they are, anywhere in the world. And Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan means to worship the Archa Vigraha form, the deity form of the Lord, with faith, love, affection, respect, honor. Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So these 5 are there, but our Srila Gurudev said, which one is the most important? First one, Sadhu Sangha. He said, if you do the first one, then automatically all of the rest will follow. Whenever we were
The rest have to be done in sadhu sangha anyway.
Yeah, all the rest must be done under guidance anyway of sadhu. But if you are under the guidance of any sadhu, then naturally you will do sadhu sangha, you will do nam kirtan, you will do bhagavat shravan, you will do maturavas, and you will do Śrīmurtir Shraddhaya Sevan. Like whenever Srila Prabhupada would travel to any place in the world, or our Srila Gurudev, all of the devotees would come and assemble there, and they would do all of the activities of bhakti as they should be doing, and it was natural and spontaneous. Whereas without that guidance, without that sangha, it could very easily be that one would become lazy about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or more different processes of bhakti. It's easy, no? When one is not under guidance, when one is not being watched, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, I don't want you to become lazy thinking no other eyes can see you. You are my dearest friend, so I won't leave a penny for you. So now we will call out for the mercy. Sardu Sangha Ki Jai. That's the devotees in Sardinia. They're called Sardu. The Sardu Sangha Ki Jai. Pratamam tu gurum pujam tataschaiva mamarchanam kurvan siddhim avapnoti anhyanyata nishphalam bhavet. This is from Bhaktivedānta. One must always worship one's guru first and then worship me. Krishna is telling. When one follows this, he gets perfection. But if one neglects this process, anyata nishphala bhavet. Nishphal means without fruit or fruitless. So if we follow the process, like our Srila Prabhupada would always say, Krishna consciousness is a scientific process. If you follow the science, you will get the result. If you don't follow the science, you won't get any result. Many people don't believe in science these days, which means they won't follow the process of Krishna consciousness according to the instructions of Gurudev and Vaishnavas either. If you follow the process, then the result will come. Although we are not necessarily result-oriented, so to speak, in terms of wanting something from Krishna, we do want something. Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja explains in that verse, Savai Pungsang Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje Ahaitiki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. Now, in there it says that bhakti for Bhagavan is causeless and unending, ceaseless. He said it doesn't mean that it's causeless, it means it has no material cause. Because bhakti has a cause. What is the root cause or qualification for the manifestation of Krishna Bhakti Ras? And whoever gets this first gets a plate full of
Sadhu sangha.
a plate full of sadhu sangha? Wow. Never heard of that before, but there you go. What is the root qualification for Krishna Bhakti Ras? Come on, all you shlok maestros. The intense. What is the shlok? Or that particular word we're searching for. That one thing that you need no. Yes. Haripriya got greed. Chloe Chandrika Devidasi got greed. Sonam got loyam. Look at that. Oh, Amarendra Prabhu. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. Anjali's like a plate full of sadhu sangha. Woohoo! Greed. Yes. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadikutopi Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Shukritayar Na Labhyate. Millions of lifetimes of doing good things in this world, whatever they might be. Worldly things. Feeding the poor, giving donations, opening hospitals and this and that, free clinics, whatever philanthropic work we can do. This cannot give even 1 ounce of Krishna Bhakti. In other words, ultimately, from that verse in Bhagavatam, Dharmasvanushrita pungsam vishvakshena katasya notpadayat jadiditim shrama eva hi kevalam. If it doesn't somehow or other produce an attraction, a rati, for hearing the glories of Krishna, Krishna Katha, then it is considered only so much hard, useless labor. What is the root qualification for Krishna Bhakti Ras? Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam. Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja stressed this. He wanted to pound this idea into us to make sure we understood it. And if this question was ever asked to any of us, we would get it, just like all of you got it. Greed, greed, greed. This paramartik lolyam. Tatra lolyam, that greed, the intense greedy desire, api mulyam ekalam, is the only root qualification for the attainment of Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhav. It is the only thing. And that can only be awakened under or in the association of the pure devotees of the Lord. Sadhu Sangha. Krishna Bhakti Janmamul Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu Bhajana Anukul Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Prema Lati Karamul. Again, you're seeing the word mul. It means root. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mul Hoy Sadhu Sangha. Again, root. Tatra lolyam api mul yam ekalam. Mul. The root qualification for Krishna Bhakti Rasa is the intense greedy desire to have it, and that can only be had in the association of those who are actually tasting Krishna Bhakti Rasa. That is what Rupa Goswami says, Tannava Rupa Charitari Sukittananu Smrityo Kramena Rasanamana Singyojya Tishtam Rajetad Anuragi Jananugame. He's saying 24 hours a day under the guidance of Anuragi Jan, an eternal associate of Krishna whose heart is overflowing with prema for Krishna. By their association, this Krishna Bhakti Rasa, meaning the desire to serve Krishna, will be awakening more and more within our hearts. So this is the most essential ingredient. Here, now, on the way to perfection, and even after the attainment of perfection, the association of Krishna's devotees, that means taking their guidance, following their instructions, serving them, this is the most essential thing for us. And by that, greed will awaken in our heart. Wherever one can purchase it, they should purchase it without delay, our Srila Prabhupada would say. Now we're going to call on the mercy of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. You have your books. Very good. Remember it. Remember it. It's in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raya Ramananda. Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bole sarvajan, Shri Rupa Kripaya mile Jugala Charan, page 51, by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Hopefully nothing falls off here. Do you think we should unplug the mic there so we can hear everything more balanced? Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bole sarvo jana Shri Rupa Kripayo nile Jugala Charana Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bole sarva jana Shri Rupa Kripayo nile Jugala Charana Ha ha Prabhu Sanātana Gosvāmī Save mili vancha purno Koro yamaro Ha ha Prabhu Sanātana Prati hoya se pado yashrayo ja se Mahārāja ama prati hoya se pado yashrayo ja se O Prabhu Lokanath Kone Sange Loya Jave Shri Rupero Pado Padme Kore Samarpine Padme more samarpine Heno ki hoive moro Narma sakhi gane Anugato narotane Koribe shasane Heno ki Shri Rupa Kripayo Mahārāja ki jai, Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pār ki jai, Rūpānu Guru Varga ki jai, Śrī Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Can you flick that switch there? Or Sudevi? You can do it? Okay.
It's bright.
Just that one.
It's really bright. On the camera, can you see it?
Oh, okay. Take it.
Do you need it?
No, I thought it was for you. Now we will call out for the mercy of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. What is your favorite Nitai bhajan?
Nitai Padakamala.
Do you know how to sing it? What is your favorite Nitai bhajan? Everyone. I guess we're singing Nitai Padakamala today. Page 58, Nitai Padakamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda O Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala Nitai Padam Oje Chaya Jagata Jura Radha Krishna Paitena Dridha Kori Dharo Nitar Pa से संबंध नाही जा वृथा जन्म गेलो तार से संबंध से पशु गोरो Nitai na bolilo mukhe mojilo sansaro sukhe Nitai hai Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai. More devotees always make everything happier.
Of course.
Which Gaur Bhajan do you want to lead?
Gauranga Tumi More Dayana
Sudevi, Gauranga Tumi More Doya Na Chari Ho. Anup.
Gauranga Tumi More Dayana Chari Ho.
Gauranga Tumi More Doyana Chari Ho.
Gauranga Tumi More Dayana Chari Ho.
Gauranga Tumi More Doyana Chari Ho.
Apna kariya ranga charane rakhi ho.
Apna kariya ranga charane rakhi ho.
Gauranga tumi more dayana chari ho.
Gauranga Tumi More Doyana Chari Ho.
Tomara charana lagi sabe tyagilo.
Tomara charano lagi sabe tyagilo.
शीतल चरण पाया शरण लाइनो. शीतल चरण पाया शरण गौरांग तुम्ही मोरे दयाना छड़ी
Gauranga Doyana Chari Ho.
तुले ओ तुले मोही दिल तिला जले.
Ekule akule dilu dila chari.
राखिला शरणे मोरे कमलार बोली.
राखी हो चरणे मोरे आत्मनार बोली.
गौरांग तुम्ही मोरे दयाना छड़ी हो.
Gauranga Tumi More Doyana Chari Ho.
वसुदेव घोष बोले चरण धरिया.
वासुदेव घोष बोले चरणे घोरिया.
कृपा तोरी राखो मोरे पद छाया दिया.
Now, we're going to sing our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja's Śrī Radha Vino Bihari Tattvāṣṭakam. And that in our bhajan treasure trove, it's not a songbook, it's Gaudiya Giti Guccha, starts with Radha Chinta Niveshena, page 272. Or whatever Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts. Very kindly, he posts the bhajans in the comment section of the thread. So just scroll to what he posts, and there you will find the bhajan, along with its translation, and perhaps, very likely, any beautiful commentary from any of our acharyas. What did I say, 372 or 272?
272.
272. Janardhan Prabhu posts the page numbers. Sometimes other devotees help him.
272 with strawberries.
Yes.
Cream is better than strawberry, that's all.
Cream is much better than any strawberry. Much more amazing than any strawberry. They started calling me Strawberry Mohan. That's very high. Radha Chintanivesheno Yasya Kantirvilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Lingita Vigraham Radha Chintanivesheno Yasya Kantirvilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Nindito Vigraham Sevya Sevaka Sambhoge Dvayor Bheda Kuto Bhave Vitralam Hetu Sarvasya Veda Sada Vimardhate Sevya Sevaka Sambhoge Dvayor Bheda Kuto Bhave Vipralam Hetu Sarvasya Vedam Chililam Metunam Tatvam Vedabhedam Machintyakam Shakti Shakti Maturaikyam Yuga Padvartate Sada Chililam Metunam Tatvam Vedabhedam Machintyakam Shakti Shakti Maturaikyam Yuga Padvartate Sada Tattvam Mekam Param Vidyat Lilayata Dhastikam तत्त्वं मेकं परं विद्यात् लीलया त्वद्विधास्थितं घोर कृष्ण स्वयं एतत् उभामुभयमाप्नुतं सर्वे वर्णो यत्राविष्टा घोरकान्तिर्विकाशते सर्वं वर्णेनो हीनस्तु कृष्णो वर्ण प्रकाशते सर्वे वर्ण यत्राविष्टा न हीनस्तु कृष्णो वर्णो प्रकाशते सगुणं निर्गुणं तत्त्वम् एकं नेवाद्वितीयकं सर्वं नित्यं गुणैर्गौरो कृष्णो रसस्तु निर्गुणैर्नं निर्गुणं तत्त्वम् एकं नेवाद्वितीयकं सर्वं नित्यगुणैर्गौरं कृष्ण रसस्तु निर्गुणैः श्रीकृष्णं येथुनं ब्रह्म त्यक्त्वा तु निर्गुणं हि तत् उपासते वृषाविद्यायतादुषावधानं श्रीकृष्णं मेतुनं ब्रह्म तु निर्गुणं हि तत् उपासते वृषाविद्यायतादुषावधानं श्रीविनोद विहारियो राधायामिलितो यदा तदाहं वन्दनं कुर्यां सरस्वती प्रसादतः श्रीविनोद विहारियो राधायामिलितो यदा तदाहं वन्दनं कुर्यां सरस्वती इति तत्त्वाष्टकं नित्यं यपतिश्रद्धयान्वितं कृष्णतत्त्वम् अविज्ञेयं गौरपदे भवेन्मति इति तत्त्वाष्टकम् कृष्णतत्त्वम् अविज्ञेयं गौरपदे भवेन्मति राधा चिन्ता निवेशेन यस्य कान्तिर्विलोकिता श्रीकृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधारङ्गितविग्रहं राधा चिन्ता निवेशेन यस्य कान्तिर्विलोकितो श्रीकृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधारङ्गितविग्रहं श्रीकृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधारङ्गितविग्रहं श्रीकृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधारङ्गितविग्रहं जय राधा बिनु बिहारी राधा बिनु बिहारी राधा Bhakti Pragyan Śrīla Keshava Gosvāmī. Jaya Bhakti Pragyan Śrīla Keshava Gosvāmī. Bhakti Pragyan Śrīla Keshava Gosvāmī. Radha Vino Bihari Ji ki jai. So before we were talking about not doing anything for any material cause. But we noticed that our Srila Gurudev has a soft spot for someone. And it's not material. And that someone is his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. If anyone glorifies his Gurudev, sings his Gurudev's kirtan, remembers the glory, the mercy, the teachings of his Gurudev, automatically Gurudev's heart melts and mercy flows. So I remember being in front of Srila Gurudev when we were doing Kartik. We were at Gopinath Bhavan many times, and who was it, Tamal Krishna Brahmachari or anyone would sing any bhajan. I think that time he sang Ramani Shiromani Vrishabhanu Nandani. And at the end afterward, Gurudev was like, wow, if Bhaktivinoda Thakur were here, he would bless you. He would bless you to see that his bhajan, the bhajan he made, is being sung by thousands in such a sweet way, calling out for the mercy of Srimati Radhika like that. He would bless you. And I have a few recordings of different bhajans where Gurudev would say things like that. And this one here, Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kantir Vilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Lingita Vigraham. These are the words of our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So from an external perspective, one could understand when and why this bhajan was manifested. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada had established Shri Gandharvika Giridhari. That is black Krishna, golden or white Srimati Radhika. When our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja established his Thakurji, Radha Vino Bihari were both of fair complexion.
1 second, we see that Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, he installed many deities that were Radha and Krishna are both white. So I'm just wondering, back maybe 80, 100 years ago, was that more unheard of? That Krishna would be in a white marble form?
All of the deities that I have seen, the Thakurji, Archavigrahas of Krishna from back in the day, the ones that were installed by Vajranabh, Krishna's grandson, the ones that were found by Rup Sanatan Advaita Acharya, all the ones worshipped here in Vrindavan, all are black. There's only one white deity from back in the day, and that is Rupa Goswami's personal Thakurji. Who is that? Yogamaya. So someone was kind of jokingly criticizing our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Oh, the reason you got white Krishna is because you couldn't afford black marble. First of all, to see Archa Vigraha like this is an offensive mood, because Krishna has been called into that form. But our Param Gurudev manifested such a beautiful, tattvik, powerful, rasik bhajan. This is his own bhajan, his own meditation. Radha Chinta Niveshena. Krishna is deeply immersed in meditating on Srimati Radhika. Where did this take place? Imlitala. After Radhika left the rasa dance, Krishna left millions of gopis to search for her. Shatakoti gopi. He left millions running after her. And he pacified her where? Shringarvat. So there he was Keshava. Kesh means hair, and he was decorating her hair and trying to pacify her. And then, after some time, what happened? All of the gopis came looking. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And at that time, Krishna didn't want to feel that he would be caught, didn't want to create any difficulty for Srimati Radhika. So he told her, get on my shoulders. And then, when she was just about to get on his shoulders, he disappeared from that place. But disappearing from that place, he felt deep separation from her, and she felt deep separation from him. So he went just next door to Shringarvat. Back in the day, there was no door. It was all kunja, very deep, dense forest. So there he went to that place, and sitting under that imli tree, tamarind tree, he was deeply contemplating, meditating upon Srimati Radhika. Radha chintani veshena yasya kantir vilopita Shri Krishna charanam vande Radha lingita vigraham. Radha alingita vigraham. That Krishna who is so deeply immersed and absorbed in Srimati Radhika, in separation from her, meditating upon her, taking a subservient role to her, took on the complexion, the beauty of Srimati Radhika. Srila Gurudev and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj explain that Radha Alingita Vigraha means that form, Vigraha, that is being embraced, Alingita, by Srimati Radhika. And our Gurudev said, not just like an embrace like this, fully embraced on all sides, due to this absorption, inside and out. That is Vinod Bihari. Why is he this complexion? Because he is deeply immersed and absorbed and subservient to the heroine, Srimati Radhika. So this is Vinod Bihari, and this is the Thakur of our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and our Gurudev. And this is the Thakur of really all Rupanugas. Srila Gurudev would explain Rupanuga Tattva. He would explain that no Rupanuga wants to see that Srimati Radhika is crying and running after Krishna. Rather, they want to see that Krishna is weeping and running after her, trying for her, trying to get her attention. This is how they want to see Radha and Krishna's relationship. That Krishna is like the peacock, trying to get her attention, moving in all directions. Look at me, look at me. And she can be like this, ignoring him, but Krishna is trying to get her attention. And finally, he's placing everything at her lotus feet. His mor mukut, peacock feather, his turban, his flute, everything. And he's praying to her. As Jayadev Goswami says in Gita Govinda, Smaragalakandanam mamashirashimandanam dehi padapalavamudaram. Please be merciful to me and give. Be careful with that, it's sharp underneath, okay? My Krishna is subservient to Srimati Radhika. And then this kind of opened up everyone's eyes. Wow, what a deep-hearted personality this is. You know, so many back in the day were thinking, oh, in the Gaudiya Math you will find no juice. Even they would criticize Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Oh, Gaudiya Vaishnava is only sucking on the dry mango seed. You will not extract any juice. Us, we are drinking the nectar, Krishna Bhakti Rasa. We are drinking that nectar, but they are only chewing on dried mango seeds, getting no flavor, no juice, no ras. And our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj completely smashed them and their misconceptions, establishing the nectar that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was giving directly and indirectly, and also showing by himself his full ascertainment of all Krishna Tattva. It's all present in here, not just Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, and Gaura Tattva. This Vinod Bihari is the prelude to Krishna's manifesting in the form of Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari. Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki Jai! Śrī Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrishovana Eva Ashvadyo Yena Adbhuta Mudurima Kidrishovamadiya Sokyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Beti Lobhat Tad Bhavadyam Samajani Shachigarva Sindo Harindu. Krishna's obsession on Srimati Radhika is not so much just thinking about her, but he's seeing something. How great is her love? Pranaya Mahima. How great is that? I don't know this. Because love is the only thing that can conquer the unconquerable. Love, pure love, is the only thing that can conquer him. And her love is so great, he can't even fathom its depths. He can't ascertain it. And so this drives him somewhat mad. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say, would that not make you mad? Every, was it Gaur Purnima? Radhashtami, we would listen to Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj lecture, Radha Prem makes Krishna mad, as we were driving from one place to the next. And it was so amazing how he would tell this. We would be just completely dumbfounded to hear it. You can listen to that lecture and you can also read it, but when you hear him speak it, it's so much more palatable and powerful. Radha Prem makes Krishna mad. Gaur Purnima is coming soon, so we will also discuss these points. So, from this prelude, Krishna, deeply absorbed in Srimati Radhika's moods in separation of Srimati Radhika, manifests this complexion, this duty. But just the complexion was not enough for him. He also wanted to taste what she is tasting, her bhavs. And what is it that she experiences about him? What is the sweetness in him that she is tasting? And the happiness she experiences upon receiving his love and affection. Sokyam chasya mad anubhavata kidrisham beti lobhat tad bhavadyam. With these intentions, Sri Krishna himself appeared from the womb of Mother Shachi to taste these three things. His primary reasons for appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared from the womb of Mother Shachi like the moon rises from the ocean. So beautiful. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shakti Rasmar Ekatmanavapi Bhuvi Puradeha Vedam Katoto Che Tanyakyam Prakatamaduna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Duty Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. I just wanted to focus a little bit on this last line regarding this prayer that we just chanted. Radha Bhava Duty Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. So this means he's trying to taste her bhav. Krishna is trying to taste the bhavs of Srimati Radhika, and by that also this complexion is manifesting. So everything in here our Param Gurudev has established about Krishna Tattva, Gaura Tattva, Nirgun Tattva versus Sagun Tattva. Everything is present in here. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, by the mercy of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Saraswati Prasadata, I worship Shri Vinod Bihari and Srimati Radhika as they meet with one another. That's not just a statement for him, that's a reality. So our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj established this essential truth through this beautiful Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam. Our Srila Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Goswami Maharaj was quite surprised. I remember we were in Varshana for our Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, and he asked the devotees, do you know his bhajans? And no one knew his bhajans, our Srila Prabhupada's bhajans. None of his disciples knew his bhajans. And Gurudev's like, you should know the bhajans of your Guru Maharaj. Gurudev wanted that Prabhupada's disciples would know the bhajans which he has written. And we should know the bhajans that our Gurudev has written. And Prabhupada, and we should know the bhajans that our Param Gurudev has written. Srila Gurudev said that we should know them by heart. Not just by book, but by heart. And by heart does not mean memorization. Gurudev would always say, in your own words, what does this mean to you? He didn't want parrot-like repetition. He wanted us to absorb, to digest, to think about, to pray, and then to represent. In your understanding, in your own words, what does this mean to you? So he was putting some kind of pressure on us to not just be memorizers, but to have a deep conception, a deep mood and an intention about why we are doing what we are doing on the path of bhakti. If that clock is right, it's only 7:15. 7:15. How about that? So in this bhajan, our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj is talking about the simultaneous oneness, but difference as well. From one perspective, everything is Krishna. But Krishna has manifested all of his Shaktis. And for the purpose of tasting love and affection, Krishna has eternally separated into many forms. So, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shakti Rasmad. So, Sevya Sevaka. Sevya means Krishna, Sevak means Srimati Radhika, and everyone and everything else. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ar Sababritya. There is only one supreme enjoyer, that is Krishna, and all others are his servants. Even Baladev Prabhu, although he is considered non-different, he's still the servant of Krishna. Mahavishnu is also doing Krishna's bidding. All others are serving Krishna. Srimati Radhika also, although we don't like to see that, still that is her intention. Her every particle of her every being is to serve and please Krishna. Krishna.
We like to see that she serves Krishna, or we don't like to see that she cries for Krishna?
We like to see that she's serving Krishna, but we like to see that Krishna is serving her more than that. The nature of love is that it can reverse the nature of things. So Krishna becomes subservient to the love of his devotees. And this is the speciality of Rupanuga Guru Varga. This is the speciality of Mahaprabhu's teachings, and this is the speciality of Vrindavan, where that supreme almighty God, Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Vrajokasam Yan Mitram Paramananda Purna Brahma Sanatana, the supreme absolute truth himself, is playing like an ordinary child in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. How fortunate are the Brajvasis, the residents of Vrindavan, that Krishna himself, little Krishna, is dancing for the ladus of the gopis, or for Makan Mishri, or carrying the shoes of his father on his head, or running from the stick of his mother, or being defeated in a wrestling match by his friends, or being chastised by his gopis. Krishna is really afraid of the stick of his mother. Death itself is afraid of him, and the sun and the moon move along in their course in fear of the Supreme Lord. And yet he's afraid, desperately afraid, of his mother who's chasing him with a stick because he's been naughty and stealing butter. So afraid that he was shaking, panting, and tears were flowing from his eyes, and he was rubbing his eyes like this until he looked like a raccoon. Big black kajal, and Ganga and Jamuna flowing down. So big black circles and streaks of black coming down, saying, "Mother, don't hit me, don't hit me." And Mother Yashoda felt bad in her heart. Oh, I don't want my son to be this afraid of me. So she put her stick down, but she said, "Still, I must teach you a lesson." The Supreme Lord of everything becomes a plaything in the hands of his Brajavasis. Because their love is so great, he's completely controlled. That is the first verse of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Namami Shwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyo Lukaladhavamanam Paramrishtam Atyantato Drutya Gopya. Mother Yashoda was able to run faster than him. What ran faster? Her love was greater than him, because she is ekantik, but he is bahu nishtha. Means his love is going everywhere, but her love is one-pointed. One-pointed love defeats multi-pointed love. So she was able to run faster than him. and she bound him. But in that Ashtakam it says she bound him with the ropes of her love and affection. That's the speciality of Vrindavan. Krishna is bound by the ropes of love and affection of all of his Brajabasis. And even the ropes of love and affection during the Ratha Yatra procession, that is also binding Krishna with the ropes of love and affection and pulling him back to Vrindavan.
I was wondering if in Radha Vinod Bihari Tattva Ashtakam, I always like when I hear the explanation of why Krishna is black and that whole absorption. Would you speak a little on that? Because you always say, why is Krishna black?
When Sudevi asked that question, I just remember hearing that newscaster asking Srila Prabhupada, why are heads shaved?
And he's like, why are your legs shaved?
So, why is Krishna black? So our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesha Goswami Maharaj is explaining color tattva, transcendental color tattva. And he's saying, Sarve Varna Yatravishta Gaurakantir Vikashate Sarva Varnena Hinastu Krishna Varna Prakashate. What does that mean? Wherever all colors simultaneously exist, then what will you see? Gaurakantir, a golden or brilliant complexion. I don't know if you remember in school, you would take a round piece of paper on cardboard and draw all of the colors of the rainbow on that. And then when you would spin it very fast, this top, all together, all of these colors would make white.
Really?
Yes. Do you remember doing that?
I didn't do that in school.
Well, I did.
You genius.
I remember it too. I thought, ooh, that's cool. Black, according to science, is the absorption of all color. Here it says, in the absence of all color, a black hue is manifest. It's the absence of reflection of color. These days, they've invented something called absolute or pure black. And if you paint your room in that, if you turn a light bulb on, the light bulb and everything will still look dim. If you have the light behind you, you cannot see your face. It's that dark, it's that absorbent. So Krishna is Vishai Bhagavan, the supreme enjoyer of everything. So his nature is to take everything in, to enjoy everyone's love and affection. That is why Krishna is blackish. But Srimati Radhika and Sachinandan Gaurahari, their natures are different. They have nothing to take, but everything to give. And because of that, and Baladev Prabhu as well, and Nityananda Prabhu, because they have nothing to take for themselves. Krishna has everything to take. He is Vishai Bhagavan, the supreme enjoyer of everything. But their mood is only loving service to Krishna. They have nothing to take for themselves. So Sarve Varna Yatravishta Gaurakantir Vikashate. Therefore they manifest the brilliant molten gold-like complexion. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen molten gold. If you ever go to a gold shop and you watch them make gold jewelry, which you can do here in India, they take a pipe and they blow through a flame at the gold and it melts. But that gold is not the color of yellow. It is molten. It is brilliant white, glowing white. Later on, it starts to become a little red and then a little more yellowish. But Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, it is said that she is the complexion of molten gold. It means brilliant, effulgent. We cannot estimate by any material calculation, but just to give an idea, Krishna's complexion is such because he's absorbing everything. So when Krishna's mood is adjusted, where he starts taking on the mood of servant, when he starts taking on the mood of wanting to love Krishna, or as serving Srimati Radhika, his complexion adjusts accordingly. It's amazing that transcendentally complexions adjust accordingly. In this material world also, they say green with envy, red with anger, pink when you're feeling shy, or so many different things, right? You can blush. You know, if somebody says, "Oh, Anup, wow, the kirtan you sang was so beautiful," and then your cheeks will start turning a little pink, right? You start feeling shy. Or they might say something like, "Oh, dark-hearted," things like that. So complexions can be there, different colors. So Srimati Radhika is compared to molten gold. Sachinandan Gaurahari is compared to molten gold. When Krishna is also in that mood, it's because he is in the subservient position. He's taking that mood, and therefore he's manifesting that complexion. As Sri Sachinandan Gaurahari, he's not experiencing Krishna bhav. Whose bhav is he experiencing? Radha bhava duty sibalitam nomi Krishna swarupam. I know the devotees are like, I know Kishori Mohan's always trying to get them to say Srimati Radhika's name. Radha bhava duty sibalitam nomi Krishna swarupam. He is Krishna himself, but he is tasting the bhavs of Srimati Radhika. And Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj says, therefore, he's manifesting her complexion. And then our Param Gurudev is also establishing very strongly here, and this is important for us, because there's a school of thought in India that pretty much took over India. After Buddha, then there was Shankaracharya. And what did he preach? Kevala Advaita Vad. Keval means only, Advaita, not two. It means singular. The singularity principle. It's all one. Therefore, everyone is saying, Hum Nārayaṇ, Tum Nārayaṇ, you are Nārayaṇ, I'm Nārayaṇ, it's all Nārayaṇ, I am Shiva, Shivoham, you are Shiva, we're all Shiva. Tattvamasi, I am that, you are that, there is only that. They tell all of these things. And then the idea of anything else, whether you're having a conversation with someone or not. If you see form, it's only illusion. If you're having a conversation, it's only illusion. It's a product of illusion. The form of Krishna, they say, is a product of illusion. Hence the word Maya Vad. The form of Radhika, they say, is a product of illusion. And love itself, they say, is a product of illusion. Prem itself, they say, is a product of illusion. Krishna himself says, whoever says that is a great fool. And whoever says that, I feel it like a thunderbolt to my own heart. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram janma karma chame divyam. My birth, my activities in this world are all divine and transcendental. Fools deride me when I descend in my human-like form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over everything. He calls them fools. Who is saying this? Krishna himself says it in Bhagavad Gita. And then he says, Brahmano hi pratishta aham. I am the source of the imperishable Brahmajyoti. It has a source. There's a person behind that effulgence, and that is Krishna himself. Why is he so offended? Because those who are saying that his form is illusion, that Radhika's form is illusion, and that the love and affection between them are illusion, in essence, are against Radha. It is Apa Radha, and therefore Krishna takes it personally.
And it's against the nature of their own
It's also against the nature of all Atmas. All Atmas are also, as Krishna says, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. His own eternally fragmented parts and parcels, and they are also made to love him. And so much of Bhagavad Gita Krishna is telling. It is immutable, it is eternal, it is individual, it is unborn, it is undying, it is always existing forever, and it is also individual, and it has personality. All jivas and Krishna himself. So those who are speaking opposite to that, they created such a confusion throughout all of India, and still to this day, millions and millions believe this. And if you ever have the great misfortune to have a conversation with those who believe this, you will find yourself running in circles for hours, and the outcome is nothing. Really. And Mahaprabhu, what does he say? Mayavada bhasha shunele hoy sarvanash. Just hearing these conceptions, just entertaining these conceptions, all of your inclination on the path of bhakti can be destroyed. So our Gurudev sent a letter publicly out to all of his devotees. It's one of the only letters that went out publicly like this, all of his disciples. My dear darling sons and daughters, whatever you do, I'm pleading with you, do not associate with Mayavadis. How will you know who they are? They say it's all one. There's nothing else. There's no God. There's no love. There's no individuality and all of that. Please do not associate with them, whatever you do. It doesn't mean be disrespectful or be mean or rude or spit. It just means don't associate with those moods and conceptions. And as our Gurudev would say, pranam forever. Means don't associate there. Associate with sadhus. Mahaprabhu very strongly says, Hoy sarvanash, everything will be destroyed. If Mahaprabhu is saying that, we should take his words very, very carefully. So our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, is one of the most famous personalities who fought against the Mayavad conceptions. And he's saying, what is he saying? They're only taking this nirgun aspect. Nirgun means devoid of qualities. They're only taking that part from Shastra, but they're not taking the other aspect. Let's give a full conception from Shastra. If you want to be fair, let's be fair. Don't just take one part out and leave the rest. Take them both and present it all. The truth. Sagunam nirgunam tattvam. Bheda bhedam achintyakam. Shakti shakti as. Sarva nitya gunair gora. Krishna rasastu nirgunai. What is sagunam nirgunam tattvam? In Shastra, everywhere it is said that the Supreme Lord has no qualities. Nirgunam. But what does that mean? No material qualities. Because in so many other places in Shastra, it is said he is full of all transcendental qualities. How many qualities does Krishna have?
64.
Unlimited. But we know of the 64 written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What are the 4 extra special qualities? Okay, whoever gets this right, what are the 4 extra special qualities of Krishna that even Nārayaṇa himself does not possess?
Līla Madhuri and Venu, Līla, Rupa and
Good.
No, Līla, Venu, Līla Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, Rup Madhuri, and
I don't think I gave enough incentive here. Come on.
Samosas.
Samosas. For whoever gets that first. The 4 specialities, the 4 special qualities that Krishna has. You're missing one.
Yeah.
The 4 qualities of Krishna that even Narayan does not possess. Rudragupta. Yes, Rup Madhuri. The sweetness. Yes, Sudevi said it. I know. Rup Madhuri, the sweetness of his form and beauty. We already said samosas. Plays the flute. Venu Madhuri. No, not samosa Madhuri. Oh, he got it from you, Sudevi. Sudevi gets samosas.
But I missed one.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
Rup Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, Līla Madhuri means the speciality of his pastimes, and Prem Madhuri.
Prem Madhuri?
Yes. Venu, Līla, Rup, and Prem. Sudevi of Anup looked it up, and she found the flute, the sweetness of his flute. This is Venu Madhuri. Rup Madhuri is the sweetness of his form and beauty. Then Līla Madhuri, the sweetness of his pastimes, and Prem Madhuri. At other times I've heard a different kind of Madhuri also. Oh, okay. They're writing Parikar Madhuri.
Parikar, that's Leela Madhuri.
Prem, Rup, Venu, and Leela. Okay. This is special. Even Srimad Nārayaṇa does not have that. Lakshmi Devi, she was like, I've never seen my Prabhu play a flute before. I want to be with my Prabhu and he's playing a flute. And I've never seen him in such a beautiful form before. How sweet. Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata
How
Prakasham.
many more does Sri Ram have than Narayan?
I'm not sure. I'm focusing on Krishna here.
Sorry. Question and answer.
Gurudev said when we see any picture of Ram or any murti of Ram, we should say, oh Krishna, you have appeared in such a beautiful form as Ram. Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna. So, Lakshmi Devi, she wants also to see this beautiful form, this amazing dancer. She's never seen her husband dance before. He's dancing, and what is he wearing? Oh, just simple cowherd-boy cloth. Very beautiful and very sweet with forest flowers. Peacock feather in his hair. I've never seen my Narayan wear a peacock feather. Narayan does not wear a peacock feather. Neither does Narasingha Bhagavan. Neither does Matsya. He's a fish incarnation. Peacock feather would not do very good in the water. Neither does Kurma Avatar, and neither does Dwarkadish. He's a king in Dwarka. He does not wear a peacock feather. Neither does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wear a peacock feather. Only Krishna in Vrindavan, according to Shastra, of the forms of Bhagavan, wears a peacock feather. For the prime reason that it has the name Radhika in it. There you can see Radha. Srila Gurudev was trying to show us in Varshana. Where is Radha's name mentioned? You said it's in every peacock feather. And Gurudev's like, look, it's here, it's here. And we're like, we can't see it. And he's like, oh, you cannot see, but here it is, it's here, it's here. We have a beautiful photo Sudevi took of that moment when the devotees were asking Gurudev and he was trying to show us in every peacock feather. And he wears his peacock feather on the left side. You see here? I don't know if you've ever noticed, our Vinoba Bihari never wears a peacock feather on his right side. It's always the left side pointing toward Srimati Radhika. In essence, offering that to her. I'm wearing your name on my head. The speciality. So this is part of his roop. And then Leela Madhuri means the sweetness of his pastimes. Lakshmi Devi's like, I've never seen these past. A rasa dance? What? Wrestling with... She's never seen this before. And Prem, the sweetness of his love and affection, the way he's loving his Brajabasis, I've never seen this before. And she desires to enter into these pastimes. Because Srimad Nārayaṇa does not manifest those four special Madhuris. But Krishna in Braj does. And to this day, Lakshmi Devi is still doing tapasya, austerities in Belvan, as we have heard. Praying for the mercy of Srimati Radhika, the origin of all Lakshmis, Sarva Lakshmi Mayi Śrī Radha Thakurani, so that one day she may be able to enter into the sweet pastimes of Krishna. She could follow any of Krishna's conditions, except for the one. You have to marry any other goat and then run away from him in the middle of the night and come and meet with me. And she was like, I can't marry anyone else. That one I can't do. He said, well, this is the land of Parakiya Bhav. So if you want to meet with me like the gopis, then you have to do that. And so to this day, she's praying for the opportunity to be able to develop the capacity to do such a thing. But the point I was making is that these four Madhuris only appear in Krishna, no other form. So, Sagunam Nirgunam Tattvam. Yes, in one aspect you can say the supreme absolute truth is devoid of any qualities, meaning material qualities. But if you look in all Shastras, he's full of all transcendental qualities. And so we should understand it from the correct perspective, not just throwing out half of all of the glorifications of the Lord and taking the one perspective, which is that he is nirgun. Even in the first or one of the last verses of Sri Ishopanishad, there the devotee is praying to the Lord, please remove your dazzling effulgence so that I can see you personally. When Hiranyakashipu was fighting with Sri Narasimhadev Bhagavan, he didn't know what it was. He just thought, whatever it is, I'm going to kill it. And because first he was studying. He's like, what is that? It's not a man. It's not a lion. It's really massive. It's quite ferocious looking, but I'm immortal. So anyhow, I'm going to kill it. So he started fighting with it. And he had a shield and his sword. And it is said that this form was so dazzling, effulgent, that he jumped in to try to kill, and he actually disappeared into the effulgence of the Lord as part of this fight. This was part of the description given in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, that for some time he entered in, and it appeared that he merged into the effulgence of the Lord, but he understood that there was a personality behind it. And as one of the original gate guards of the Lord, in the form of Hiranyakashipu, he had his duty, his service, was to please the Lord by putting up a good fight. So he put up a good fight. So now, what is the time? It's getting late. Almost. So Param Gurudev Śrīla Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja is saying, Shri Krishna Mityunam Brahma Taktatu Nirgunam Hitat Upasade Mrishabhigya Yatatu Shabhagatina. Those who give up this twofold form of Shri Krishna, the Supreme Absolute, and worship the undifferentiated, all-pervading, impersonal existence, are intelligently looking for rice in empty husks. In other words, they're trying to separate. They're taking the husk, but they're not taking the essence, the source of all of that. That is Krishna himself. As he says in Bhagavad Gita very clearly, Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the source of everything. Matak sarvam pravartate. Everything is emanating from me. Matap parataram nanyat kinchirasti dhananjaya. Everything is resting upon me like pearls are strung on a thread. Everything has manifested from him. I am the source of all creation, material and spiritual. He's telling this. Krishna himself is telling this thing. So those who try to neglect the personality of Godhead and only try to go toward his effulgence, thinking they will achieve Brahmananda, our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj had some choice words for this. He said, and I will quote, those who think that they will attain bliss or Brahmananda by entering into the undifferentiated effulgence or Brahmjyoti of the Lord, they are in illusion. To think that they will experience Ananda. Why? And he gives the example, and our Gurudev would share it. If your tongue was made of sugar, and I gave you sugar to eat, what would you taste?
Nothing.
Nothing. If your taste buds were made of sugar and I gave you sugar, it would cancel each other out. So you becoming Brahm, what would you taste? Nothing. So Mayavadism, Mahaprabhu says, is nothing but covered Bodhism, Buddhism. And I know that's a big sore point for a lot of devotees who like to subscribe to Buddhism, but I have to tell you straight up, when you read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and you see Mahaprabhu's conversations with the real Buddhists, these days Buddhism is all mixed up with all kinds of ideas, but you see Mahaprabhu's conversations. What happened after his conversation?
An eagle came and smashed the head of the head.
A big eagle, it was actually Garuda in the form of an eagle, grabbed the big massive arti tray, came and dropped it on the head of the leader of those Buddhists. What is their conception? Their end goal is to cease to exist. So Mayavadas, their nature and their conception is known as nirvishesha, without variety, nirvishesh. And Buddhists' conception is known as Shunyavad. Vad means conception and Shunya means without. The end goal is to cease to exist. Technically, Buddhism cannot be considered a religion because it is devoid of the goal of God, service to God. It's a philosophy, but it's not with God involved. So that, by Mahaprabhu's statement, is considered...
Can you explain what the difference between that Buddhism is and the difference between Buddha, the incarnation of the Lord, is? Because, why are you smiling?
Because Sudevi Dasi writes Buddhist conception Shunya Bad, but it's B-A-A-D, like bad. But yeah, Shunyavad, yes.
What is the difference between those kinds of Buddhists, the Shunyavads, as opposed to Buddha, Lord Buddha, the incarnation of the Lord? Because there's...
Yes. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj went deeply into the histories of Buddhism. Because in our Śrī Dashavatara Stotram, there it says, Keshavadritta Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare. And I'm just trying to remember, I can't remember the how it starts right now. Keshavadritta Buddha Sharira. The Buddha is an incarnation of Bhagavan. So our Param Gurudev established something quite interesting. He said, and I will paraphrase, that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, why and when he comes. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam shajamyaham. To re-establish the principles of dharma and to root out adharma, to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons. This is why he descends from yuga to yuga. So, Srila Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, in his book Mayavad Ki Jivani, also known as Beyond Nirvana, Life History of Mayavadism, in there he's telling that the Vishnu Buddha is different than the one that is being promoted in the world, who is preaching Shunyavad. Because the function of Vishnu is not being taken care of. In other words, there's a fake. And our Param Gurudev was heavy about this. What is the function of Vishnu? It is to establish dharma. But according to the current philosophies which are going around in the name of Buddhism, this is not establishing dharma. What is the goal of dharma? The goal of dharma is to serve and love God.
But it's a completely different Buddha.
Yes, so there are many different personalities who have been given the title Buddha. And so what is mentioned in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Buddha, it actually gives the name of the village he will be born in, what is the name of his father, what is his lineage, what his function will be. He will preach non-violence. So there's something of that, but then there's so many other things which have been added in. So our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj did extensive research and established the truths behind these things based on tattva. That's why it is absolutely essential that one has a foundation in tattva, otherwise we can fall for anything. They say that for one who does not stand for something, they will fall for anything. That's an English saying. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Standing for something means I have a foundation in tattva siddhanta. These days, anyone can say anything, and anyone and everyone will believe it. But our Param Gurudev, our Guru Varga, our Guru Parampara did not accept any of that as evidence. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed it himself in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in his conversation with Rai Ramananda. Although whatever Rai Ramananda said is and always would and will be considered Shastra, because he is an eternal transcendental personality, an eternal associate of the Lord, still to teach the world not to just accept nonsense blindly as truth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rai Ramananda, I'm going to ask you many questions, and I will not accept any answer if you do not give evidence from Shastra. That is the first aphorism of Dashamula Tattva by Bhaktivedānta Thakur. Woo! Sudevi got that, man. Sudevi just gets
Pumpkin.
blended pumpkin soup. There you go. Amnaya prahat tattvam harimiha paramam sarvashaktim rasabdam. Amnaya praha. The first thing that is required is evidence from Shastra. Otherwise, we do not accept. So many are saying this thing and saying that thing and adding, mixing and creating new tattvas and new tattvas. That's not tattva. That's why Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj was like, no, this is not tattva. We cannot accept this. You cannot vote on tattva. You cannot vote on truth. Truth is truth and it is always truth. That is as it is and it is unchangeable. That is the nature of tattva. It is always as it is without any variation. He said we can tolerate anything, but we cannot tolerate compromise or change of tattva. When that happens, he says, then everything is ruined. So this first aphorism of the Dashamula Tattva of Bhaktivedānta Thakur, Amnaya Praha, he's mentioning this first for a reason. It is the most essential thing. You need evidence first. And evidence can be from Shastra. And what the pure devotees say will be in accordance with Shastra. Shastra Chakshushaha. That is why we have that very strong foundation. 3 points minimum will give you a good solid foundation. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And they must all confirm one another. Otherwise, there is danger. If Shastra is saying something which is not in line with Guru and Sadhu, then you have to reconcile it. If Guru is saying something that is not in line with Sadhu and Shastra, then you must question. If Sadhu is saying something that is not in line with Guru and Shastra, you must question. To accept blindly is dangerous. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, there is no necessity to accept blindly or to maintain allegiance to something which is not altogether good. So, I'm trying to also mention here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, our Param Gurudev. But our Param Gurudev was famous for his very strong fight against Mayavadism. And they don't call themselves Mayavadis, they call themselves religious persons. And Buddhists don't call themselves Shunyavadis, they also call themselves religious persons. But these two conceptions, Mahaprabhu said that Mayavad is nothing more than covered Buddhism. Our Srila Prabhupada wrote his own pranam mantra for the benefit of his own disciples, and in there it says, Namaste Saraswati Deve. He's offering pranam to the lotus feet of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And doing what? On the order of his Gurudev, preaching the essence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is Gaura Bani Prachar. He's preaching that. Aradyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayasta Dhama Vrindavanam, etc. And Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He felt it essential to put in his pranam mantra that he is fighting against these two conceptions. Nirvishesh, which means without speciality, or formlessness, or qualitylessness, or nothingness, and Shunyavad. So this means Mayavadism and Buddhism. These two conceptions which basically took over India for centuries. And our four Sampradaya Acharyas fought heavily against it. Mahaprabhu fought against it. Bhaktivedānta Thakur fought against it. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada fought very heavily against it. Our Param Gurudev concentrated it and basically shot laser-like holes through it. He just blew their conceptions to bits. And our Gurudev was very proud of his Gurudev and would represent him likewise. All of our acharyas have had to fight against all of these misconceptions for the benefit of all jivas. It is extremely detrimental for us to entertain and hear these conceptions of Nirvishesh and Shunyavad, because any jiva without proper guidance of any sadhu would naturally tend toward those. Why? Because we want our suffering to cease. And at a certain point, it's like, I can't handle the dualities of this world. I want my suffering to cease. So let me not exist, or let me become one with it so that I don't feel, so that I don't exist. Because that suffering is too great. To the extent that one endeavors to enjoy, to that extent one will have to suffer. Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur explains this in Jaiva Dharma. Right? You have a little bit of enjoyment, then you have a little bit of suffering. That's the karmic reaction. Then you strive for more enjoyment, then you get more suffering, karmic reaction. Then you say, well, let me enjoy more, then more suffering. Then demigods, enjoyment, then boom, rock bottom, suffering. And at a certain point, from there, one calls out with extreme anguish to the Lord. So this is all part of a beneficial process. However, that is not what we are meant for. Ultimately, if you don't have sadhu sangha, if you don't have proper guidance, you will want to cease to exist or to merge. Only by the association of sadhus will we be taken away from those self-serving tendencies. Why am I calling it self-serving? It's selfish. Because it's devoid of the nature of the soul. What's the nature of the soul? Jivera Surupahoy? Krishner Nitya Das. To love and serve Krishna. So one is going further and further away from this nature of loving and serving Krishna. So the mercy of the pure devotees in this world, the mercy of Krishna's names, the mercy of the Dham, the mercy of Shastra, is unprecedentedly necessary for us jivas. Without that, we would be hopelessly lost forever. Cast, what did Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Mahārāja say?
Off to the path of oblivion, into oblivion.
Cast off the path into oblivion forever.
If we serve 1 inch from the message of our Gurudev.
If we...
Whoa!
Radhe Radhe. If we... Well, this is Shunyavad, I told you. Ceasing to exist. If we swerve even 1 millimeter from the service of Sri Guru and Krishna. So now it's getting late. 7:54. We will chant Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari and Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Gopi Janna Vallabha Jai Girivaradhari Jai Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Bonachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Bonachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, especially on this day, remembering some of the teachings and very valuable lessons of our Param Gurudev, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Also, I'd like to express our indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow and Pure Cow Seva team.
Jai-ho!
We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe, dear Vaishnavas.
Radha Vinu Bihari Ju ki
Jai.
Nandana Gaura Hari
Ki Jai. Chivriya Madhumani.
Astamanyana.
Radhe Radhe.